right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you down the process that I take my prospects down to get them to the point where they're going to make an objective, educated decision about actually joining a team, signing their name on the application with one of the enrollment packs. And so during this segment, this is going to be the second part of my three-step process. So during this, we're going to assume that we've already done step one, which is building the rapport, connecting with that person, and asking them questions to get them to this particular step. So we're going to hit on this in another video, but this is the form process where you build that relationship through cold or warm prospects, doesn't matter which one, but you have to establish with that person their rapport, their why, their need, their want, their don't want, so that when you get to this step and you're sitting at Starbucks or at their house or at your place, you have the floor, you have the spotlight, so that they know that you're not just doing it out of selfish reasons, but that you're doing it to help them get what they've told you in step A, which is that rapport building stage. So I hope that makes sense. So again, A is building the relationship so that you can get them to a Starbucks or sit down with them one-on-one before you actually do step three, which is the presentation. So what I want to do is I want to take you down my 6-step process in the second stage of my formula to make sure that you understand the 6 things that I believe, as a successful USANA associate, you need to make sure that they understand. 1, so that they'll sign up, but 2, so that you find qualified, good prospects that will join your team ready to rock, so that you don't have one of those associates who just jumps on board just because of the hype, because we know a lot of companies out there that just have hype, right? Join our team, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then they phase out because they didn't really want to do that in the first place. So the first one in this second step is to educate them on what is called network marketing. They need to understand what industry they're getting into, and the industry is network marketing, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some pieces of advice, what I do with a prospect, to make sure that you understand what you need to be asking them, the education you need to give them. And really before I even jump into network marketing, what I do is I teach them the cash flow quadrant. And the cash flow quadrant was not my creation, it's by Robert Kiyosaki, the all-time best-selling author of financial literacy. And in his first book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he teaches about the concept of not being educated, right, to make money and getting paycheck to paycheck, but rather self-education and doing what it takes to actually create wealth. So what I do is I literally draw out this cash flow quadrant and have a conversation with them. So what we're going to do in this scenario is I'm going to draw out the cash flow quadrant just like I would in a normal thing, and I've got my guest kind of prospect here, Brett Ethridge, and he's literally going to be asking me questions. We haven't set this up to where it's just, you know, verbatim. He's literally going to role play with me, and I'm going to be able to flow because I know this well enough to do that. So I hope this is valuable, and to set this up again, we're going to go through the 6-step process. We're just going to focus on number 1 right now. We'll get to the next 5 here in a few different videos. So what I'm going to do is have Brett actually join me as my prospect, and we'll kind of role play this out so it makes sense. So Brett, you know, I really appreciate you coming to take the time. It was really great getting to know you at the barbecue that we had for your friend Susie last weekend, and I remember you telling me that you really wanted a second stream of income. You didn't know what that looked like yet, but you really wanted to make sure that you could provide your family with a few extra vacations each year, not have to worry about as much of the gas price. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's absolutely correct, Lane. And in fact, my wheels have kind of been spinning since we last met. I really don't know much about what you do, obviously. I'm excited to sit down with you again today, but absolutely I've been thinking about those things.
Perfect. So what I want to do, Brett, is I want to help you get to the point where you see what I do and what I decided that would help me kind of get the similar things that I wanted that you're looking for. Again, so I want you to understand that this is not for me. This is for you, to show you a way that you can absolutely take those extra few vacations that you want and hopefully fill up that big Durango that you have with not having to worry about how much you fill it up with. Is that okay?
Yeah, especially when you have no idea what gas prices are going to be next week.
Exactly. Perfect. So I do have your permission to kind of educate you about, you know, what I've learned from more successful people than myself, just a system that I've found to follow that's really going to help create that for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn.
Perfect. So what are you currently doing right now?
Well, I work for a marketing firm. You know, it's a 9-to-5 job that, you know, as you know, I don't know if you've ever worked a 9-to-5, but it's never just 9 to 5. So, you know, I do writing and meetings and email and, you know, all that stuff in a typical desk job.
Okay, perfect. And you're pretty happy with the job you have right now?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's a good job, and I'm glad to have the job. And it was certainly fun and exciting when I first got it. And now, it's a lot of the same day in and day out. And like I was telling you, it's one of those things where I'm frustrated with the amount of vacation I get each year and so forth. And it's definitely nice to be able to put food on the table for my family, but it's not what I ultimately want to do.
Not what you ultimately want to do. Okay. And if you were to continue down this path, do you think that you would ever have that extra time, even if you had the extra money to take the vacations that you're looking for?
It's a good question. I think there's room to rise within the company for sure.
Sure.
Get the raises and get promoted and so forth. It's a good question about the time. Because at the end of the day, well, the guy who owns the company, I guess, I mean, he takes some time off, but he also works a lot of hours. I don't know, and that's part of why I'm intrigued to talk to you. I don't know that I'll ever have the time, freedom that we were kind of talking about doing what I'm currently doing, even as I rise through the ranks of the company. No.
Okay, perfect. So if you could learn a way that maybe you could get that extra time freedom to be able to take those vacations with maybe that extra income that you're looking for, would it be something that you would take a serious consideration into?
It'd be crazy to say no. Yeah,
Crazy to
show
say
me.
no, right? Perfect. So as a side note, kind of a timeout, right? Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell. I would keep building rapport here, guys, just so you know. You can't jump, even though this is valuable information that we're going to show you right now on paper, you have to make sure that you've built that rapport, right? Even though this entire first step is forming and building rapport, you have to continue building rapport and forming throughout the entire thing. Because the person that asks the most questions controls the conversation. So I would keep asking questions and then tie in this. But let's jump to this, because I feel like I'm at a point where I've built the credibility. He trusts me enough, and he's excited to learn the information I have. So now I can teach. Okay? So, Brett, what I want to do then is I just want to show you something that I learned. I had this epiphany one day because I was doing the same thing you were doing. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I knew that there was something out there that I really wanted to learn. And so I went on this quest to really look and seek answers from more successful people. Because what I've learned is follow a system of people that are already successful, and then I'll teach you a couple other things. So is it okay if I show you that part?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Are you familiar with Robert Kiyosaki? Have you heard of him?
I have heard the name. Remind me how I would know about him.
So Robert Kiyosaki is one of the all-time most successful real estate investors ever. He has a company now called the Rich Dad Company, based on his book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
That's how I would have heard of him.
So maybe you've seen those purple books around.
Yep.
Okay. Have you read anything of his?
No, I haven't.
Perfect. So I'm going to save you some money, and
right.
I'm going to teach you what he teaches, and it spends a lot of money. I mean, there are people that spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to go through his courses to learn this stuff. So I hope that the value that I bring to you will be worth these few minutes. So let me kind of draw this out for you, Brent. I want to make sure that before we get to even the industry that I'm in, that's going to afford you those vacations and afford you that kind of extra income that you're looking for, let me make sure that we understand the power of a bigger concept than just network marketing, okay? And so one of the things, Brett, that Robert Kiyosaki teaches is called the cash flow quadrant. And essentially what he's suggesting is that we all fall into one of four categories, or at least one, and then hopefully move into some other ones, okay? And so the majority of people fall into what's called the E quadrant, or the employee quadrant. And no matter what they do, they will always be limited to the amount of time that they have, and they're always paid directly proportional, changing time for dollars. Make sense? Does that sound kind of what you're doing?
That's what I'm doing. I'm an employee.
You're an employee, right? But do you know any different way to do anything?
Well, I know a lot of people do work for themselves. Obviously, somebody owns the company I work for, but then I remember I grew up with a guy who owned a jewelry store, near where I grew up, and a guy who owns a restaurant. So, I definitely know people who aren't employees, but most people that I associate with every day are employees.
Okay. And so why do you think people get sick of being an employee? What do they really want ultimately? Why does somebody open a jewelry store or do something like that?
Well, I think part of it would be the appeal of more money. You think that you can make more money if you're the one getting the money. In the situation I'm in, somebody pays my boss and he decides how much of that to then pay me. But maybe the appeal of more money. And then you were talking about time. I think everybody hears about being your own boss and that it's better to be in business for yourself. So, I think there's certainly an appeal along those lines.
Okay, perfect. So what that tells me is that you understand the idea of what people do is they jump into the next quadrant, which is the S quadrant. That means self-employed. So they're still employed. They're still on this left quadrant. They are always capped by the amount of time they have. So an example of somebody self-employed might be a doctor or a lawyer or a personal trainer. Okay? They're still limited. Now they have a certain skill or a talent that they're going to get paid more for. So that goes back to your point. You brought up the exact thing. I want to get paid more, so I'm going to become self-employed. So let's just use the example of a doctor. Okay? A doctor is in this S quadrant because he or she, as a doctor, is limited to what?
How much they...
Are they on salary necessarily?
No. Yeah, oh, good point. No. They may pay themselves, I guess,
They may
a
pay
certain
themselves.
salary.
Absolutely. So here, if you don't show up to your job, are you getting paid?
No.
No. If you're self-employed and you're a doctor and you don't have any clients come into your office, are you probably going to be paid?
Yeah, no, that's a good point because you're limited, I guess, by the number of patients you can see, which is why people only get 5 minutes with their doctor.
Exactly. Right? That's pretty frustrating. And so both of these are still limited. You're still paid 100% of your ability, and that's it.
Okay.
Now this one, the freedom is I'm not reliant on my boss paying me. I'm going to create my own wealth.
Yeah.
Right?
Which and there's an appeal there. Yeah.
There's an appeal
Heck,
there.
I'd love to do that.
Right.
Thought about doing that.
Perfect. And you thought about this, so that's great. And most people move from this to this quadrant because of that potential time frame, that potential extra stream of income. So that's great. What I want to do is show you where the wealthy live. Okay? Because no matter what, these are still capped on their time. So if we want some extra time freedom, we have to learn what the people that have time freedom do.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you mentioned even a second ago that your boss, he may play golf every once in a while, but he works just as hard, if not harder than you do.
It's because he owns it. I mean, he's got to make the rain. He's bringing in the clients. I just show up to work every day and do the work he tells me to do.
Exactly. So what if there were a way that you could build a team of people that were more interested in their success and their business that would help you rather than just being only worried about your particular little baby, right? Your nurturing little thing that you've created.
As long as they don't steal the paper clips from my office.
Perfect. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to jump, keep your foot in this left quadrant. Okay, I'm not encouraging you, no way, even no matter how excited you are by the end of us sitting together for an hour, I'm not going to encourage you to quit your job because you have a family to provide for, if I remember right, and you still have bills and a mortgage.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't just jump into this B quadrant right away. You need to move slowly into that.
Okay, what's the B quadrant?
Okay, perfect. So the B quadrant, Brett, is where the business owners are. Okay?
I gotcha. Okay.
The difference between a B and an S is that there is a system here. Okay? And systems make money. Would you agree that McDonald's is a profitable system?
Yeah.
They make burgers and rubbery fries, right?
That's right.
And high school kids run the stores, except for the managers may have some experience. So franchises would fall in this business owner, right? You own a business, you hire employees, you do all this stuff. Okay? The benefit of being a business owner is eventually you can leverage other employees' time to build a business and do the things that you can't afford to do.
Like my boss leverages off of me.
There you go. And he also uses your skill. Now, he might not know how to market as well as you do, right? You're marketing, so maybe your skill is social media. And so he's hired you as a social media expert to do that because he doesn't know it, but what does he know that you don't?
A lot of things. I mean, he knows how to sell. He knows how to get clients. He knows the industry better than I do. All those things.
Perfect. So he's a smart person, right? Now, when I was employed, I hated my boss because he had leveraged himself and was essentially using me, right, for my skill. I mean, I was paid for it, but he was using me because he had gotten himself in a position and owned this business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for him.
Absolutely. Genius. So have you ever thought about starting a business, or did you just kind of think about being self-employed?
Well, it's an interesting distinction. I thought about franchises. They're super expensive, so I kind of bailed on that.
Sure.
I had some buddies in college who kind of started businesses, and yeah, they're just expensive. And I also thought about going to law school, but the way you're explaining, and that's really more kind of self-employed because you still have to show up and you gotta handle your clients and stuff. So I guess to answer your question, I've thought more about kind of the S quadrant stuff, and I've thought about B, but it just wasn't possible realistically, financially, and also it takes a lot of time for sure.
Takes a lot of time, and would you have to hire employees?
Eventually, I probably tried to do a lot of it myself in the beginning until I could justify getting employees.
And what would happen to you and your family if your boss had to let you go? Would that put you guys in a tough situation?
Well, yeah, because I'm an E. He controls whether I get a paycheck.
Of course. And so the one concern that I had with the B is I'm a people person, and I would feel awful if I had to let somebody go knowing that that person might not be able to put food on their family's table. And so what I want to do is I want to emphasize the power and the benefit of becoming a business owner. But what I'm going to do, Brett, in the next couple minutes is show you an industry, network marketing, that you can have all the benefits of being your own business without the headaches of a traditional type of thing.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the last quadrant, just so you understand the power here, where the wealthy live, the 5% kind of live here. So if you were making an extra couple $100 a month, would you be able to put some money away for your family and invest?
Yeah. Well, the good news is I have the money taken out of my paycheck from my 401k anyway, because there's usually nothing left at the end of the month anyway.
Perfect. Okay, so you're already doing that. You're already investing, and that's great. And we're going to talk a little bit about, the benefits of a 401k and potentially look at the pros and the cons of what you can do with your money here. Okay? But the point is, we want to get you from here to here. If you have to go this way, great. Okay? But eventually you need to get up here so that you've got that extra money and time freedom to invest back here so that your money's working for you. And who else is working for you?
People.
Other people.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right.
And that's where the wealthy are.
As long as it's not several $100,000 like the franchise I looked at.
Wait till you see what it is, and you're going to be really, really excited. But again, I don't want to give too much away because the key is for you to make an educated, objective opinion about what I do. And if you understand it and you want to talk about all this stuff, great.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yeah, so you have a bee business then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had a bee business. My bee business actually is growing every single day. It's in numerous different countries, and I'm the CEO of my own company. It's amazing. But again, I was teaching before this. I was in this E quadrant. What I learned is what the wealthy did, and I just followed what they did.
Yeah.
So I was no different from you, except for the fact of what? I've made a decision, taken action, and actually done something about it.
How long?
I've been doing it I've had a business for a while, but really and truly I didn't understand this and really didn't start growing it until really about a year ago. And the reason is, Brett, if I can share my story real quick without doing too much, is I was in this S quadrant. I was self-employed. I was doing real estate investing. What I realized is two things. One, the deals kept falling apart, and I wasn't getting paid for my work, right? You're at least getting some paychecks, so you were ahead of me. Here, I was still capped on my ability to do deals, and so if I didn't flip another property, I was broke until I did it again. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Even if I was successful, I still had to get up every single day and go do it and do it and do it and do it. Make sense?
It does. So are you saying, because real estate's something I thought about, is real estate, you were an E in real estate? Because I thought real estate was a good way to make money.
No, so I was suggesting that I actually was self-employed as a real estate investor.
I gotcha.
Meaning I didn't have a boss. I didn't have to show up to an office every single day. But remember what I was limited to? I was limited by what?
Your ability to do deals.
My ability to do deals, and hopefully the deals that close. And you can make a big chunk of money. But Brett, the other thing that I really want to talk about before we move into the network marketing part is the 4 things that I've learned from these guys that own businesses. Okay?
Yeah.
And so real quick, and then we're going to jump into network marketing. I want to make sure that we understand the industry and start moving down the path of helping you figure out how we can help you get that vacation, right?
Sure.
So number 1 is be in business for yourself. Have we just learned that?
That's what we're trying to.
Trying to, right? Doesn't matter which business yet.
Yeah.
You get to pick that, but you've got to be in business for yourself. The other thing is to create leverage.
Yeah.
Leveraging either your money or other people's time so that you can do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
Make sense?
That does.
You want to have multiple streams of income, meaning that keep your job, but maybe write a book, or maybe go do some eBay stuff, or cut some lawns in the summer, Seriously, babysit, whatever it is that you need to do. Obviously, you might not choose some of those options, but do you see how you've got money and then you've got this other stream of money coming in?
Yeah, the issue there is time, obviously. I'd rather spend time with my family than cut lawns and stuff, but I do like the idea of multiple streams of income.
Perfect. And in the unforeseen circumstance that you get fired, or your company goes under, right? You at least have some other streams of income coming in. Or maybe you have multiple streams within your household. So your wife has a job, right?
Right.
And the other thing is eventually to create, Brett, what you were talking about. One is create multiple streams of income. Are you familiar with residual income?
No.
Okay. And I didn't have any idea what that word was either. Residual means reoccurring.
Oh, okay.
So you're paid multiple times for something you did. So for example, did you ever cut lawns or babysit back when you were a teenager?
Plenty of lawns.
Plenty of lawns. Wouldn't it be cool if you still got paid for somebody else cutting that person's lawn?
Yeah.
That's residual income, right? You've leveraged yourself, so you're going to get paid over and over and over again, right? Training somebody. I mean, I'm working a lot with the military. All the military is training somebody, right? They don't get paid anymore for training. That's just their job. Now, it protects them. The better they can make their team, the more safe they're going to be, right? The better they're going to do their job. But they're not paid anymore. In a business world, you are, okay? So you want to create something that's residual, passive income, so when you're sleeping, you've got money coming in.
And that's the time freedom we're talking about.
Do you see how that would create time freedom?
Yeah, if I can go to sleep and know that I'm still getting paid, yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So what I want to do now is I want to move into the first step. You know, we've talked big picture stuff. I want to move into network marketing real quick. And within network marketing, what I believe is that you get all the benefits of the bee without all the headaches, okay? So let's talk about that for a second. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Perfect.